What is going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. Today in the BMX Streets world, we're going to be working on filming and filming techniques. So if you have any interest in learning how to use the replay editor and how to make your BMX Streets videos look professional, let's get right into it. First thing you got to know, get familiar with your equipment. What we have down here at the bottom is the timeline, and that's where we're going to be placing all of our keyframes, which is exactly what it says it is. It's a keyframe, where your action is, where your shot wants to be, essentially where your camera is pointing. And on the side here, you have all of your tools for removing, adding, deleting. I zoomed in as much as I could so that you can see them. They are kind of hard to see in game. However, first thing you got to do is grab your bike and do something gnarly. So you're already probably aware that in this game, that could take a while. Ooh, now that we've done something film worthy, let's make it look even better. So the first thing we're going to get into is follow filming, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're basically just following the rider, aside from if you want to use any artistic license, as we call it, to showcase maybe something else, maybe the spot, maybe the lighting. Nonetheless, we're basically just following the rider to and from, and the keyframes, again, are just your point of view, basically. So that's exactly where you want to place the camera, where you want it to be. Now in this instance, we're at the trails, so we're going to be using a drone style filming. So we're going to come in high and follow the rider the whole way through, keeping the subject in the middle of the frame. And again, your subject may be the rider, maybe the trick, maybe something artistic aside. Regardless, this is all personal preference. The main thing is to work along this timeline, placing your keyframes essentially where you want the camera to be placed. I wanted to showcase this especially in a few different environments. So here we're doing a massive, nasty quadruple tail whip transfer down in. So of course we're going to be following down in. We're just essentially kind of floating down with the rider, placing keyframes a little bit as we go. And I essentially just kind of fan through with my trigger, kind of moving along the timeline, placing keyframes. And essentially that's telling the camera where it needs to be, and the rest is all pretty much automated. So we just kind of fan through this almost like we're doing a flip book. You want to just do frame by frame. Now how many or how many angle changes, that's kind of personal preference, and it also depends on the trick. As you can see here, we dip down low. I like a low angle. Makes everything look a little bit bigger, makes it look a little bit gnarlier, you know. And this again is kind of the rule of thumb, the formula for BMX and skateboarding. But here it's all about creativity. It's all about you doing your own thing, making things look the way you want. So as you see here, I'm cutting in low. We're gonna get a nice ground shot and follow in tight up into the berm for the banger. So let's roll forward again. This is just placing all these keyframes, and then we'll go back and look at what we call post-production and the final shot. And of course, as you see here, the sun completely blows out our shot, and that just means basically you can't see what you're intending to see. So the lighting was a bad choice, but thank God we're not in real life, and we can adjust the time of day, and we will do that when we get to final production. All right, well, Nina takes a dirt nap over there. She's a little dramatic. Sleep it off. Take care. We're going to do what they call in the industry a pan out. And that's basically essentially an artistic ending or beginning to a shot. And that's essentially, again, we're just kind of showcasing the environment, the area. I kind of want to show off the trails. You get kind of a long look at the gap we just did. And that's just to give our viewers just a nice little closing. It's not required. You see it a lot in skateboarding and BMX, and that's just kind of the way we like to make things look. So let's back it up here and let's check this thing out from a final production standpoint. All right, so we filmed it perfectly. Everything looks good. Not worried about the rollout and the wreck. This isn't going in the edit, so let's deal with that blown out sun. So again, if you hit the, I think it's the start or the select, I'm on a Steam Deck, so I'm not quite sure. But anyway, you have these settings here, and you can adjust the field of view, the depth of view, and those are all just a matter of perspective. But let's get into changing the time of day. As you can see, we've gotten rid of that sun. Our clean shot. We've got a nice atmosphere now with the sunset. Let's back it all up and let's see the final cut. Beautiful. Happy with the way it looks? Now let's take what we've learned and move it to the streets. Alright, so I've gone ahead and just did a quick line real quick, really chill line. So we're working through the keyframes. It's just a step by step. You're basically just like a flip book, frame by frame, kind of figure out where you need to be. I tend to look at the ground filming, the follow filming, as if I'm standing there holding the camera. If I got to be on top of something, below something, behind something. Now, in the virtual world, there are going to be some things in the way, and you can work around that. I tend to treat this as realism. So we'll try to cover even some tripod shots. That way, if you want maybe just a standalone, maybe you don't want to have to worry about doing all the follow cam and stuff. So you can actually just bust the trick, set up the keyframe in one spot and see how it looks. I tend to use this a lot for big gaps, big drops, any far distances, and sometimes it's just nice to mix it up to have that nice still shot at the end for the banger. But it's all about personal preference and creativity. You just gotta find out what works best for you. And I included this here because, see, in my mind, I would think that the filmer would have to step over this ledge and then come over to the other side to be able to get the last trick. Now, that's just personal preference. You are able actually to just move the keyframe over and the camera over, and the game will essentially pass through an object without any trouble. Now, I, again, personally don't like the way that this looks because it makes it video gamey. I tend to not like that, but if you don't care too much and you just want to get some sick shots, it does work for you. So I'll show you here what that means in final production, where the camera will just pass through the wall so you can get the shot on the other side. See, and that's just a minor preference. I don't care too much for that, but some people don't mind it. Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier, less keyframes. Now we'll go back over here and I'll just show you kind of raw. We're gonna just roll in cold, bust a trick, and film it all in one shot. So here we go.
Everybody's having such a good time. Like, I think I can do this.
Right, nothing too crazy. Now let's go into a replay editor, and as you see, we have a blank timeline. I'm gonna go and place the camera, or the tripod as I like to call it, in the right spot. Make sure I can see the entire shot. And depending on what your screen capture device is or method is, you may not even have to place a keyframe. You can just run it just like this. However, if you are looking to kind of have it be automated once you've got it all in place, there you go. Place the keyframe down. If you need any movement, fine. If not, no big deal. You're already done. Now I'll take this one tripod shot and then I'll pick it up with a rolling shot just to add a little flair. All right, now let's see how she looks. All right, clean as you like. So let's move quickly on to cinematics, and then we're out of here. You're gonna be a pro filmer in BMX Streets, no trouble. So you're already familiar with the timeline, placing, deleting, removing keyframes. Now this is basically just doing the same thing. Now you gotta open up your creativity and just find out what about the spot, the environment, everything that just makes the trick look 10 times better, makes the viewer just kind of immersed into the clip. So I look for any kind of particulars, any kind of interesting movement that I can find in the city, and here we go. There's no rules. So as you see here, I chose to showcase the territory, the ground, the trails, the beautiful trees, the environment, and then a nice cinematic shot of Nina running up, excited as could be, ready to ride these trails. And that's all it takes. Be excited, be motivated, showcase what you love the most about the game, and I would love to see your clips. Feel free to comment below, give me your social medias, and let's get together. Let's even ride some streets together. So thank you again for watching this one, and I hope this helped. Have a good evening, guys.